Do you really need a popover pan, or can you do the same thing with a muffin pan? The pans themselves are really quite similar, the muffin pan just being shorter but angled, and the popover pan has straight sides and is taller. I'm going to show you recipes in this video to make popovers in either pan, but also help address the question of if a popover pan is really worth the extra cost and the precious storage space in your kitchen. First off, we're going to make popovers in the standard popover pan. Start by preheating that pan in an oven set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we're going to need 3 eggs and make sure these are at room temperature. If your eggs are straight out of the fridge like mine, one trick to help get them to room temperature faster is to let the eggs rest in some hot tap water. After 5 to 10 minutes, these should be around room temperature. Next, we will need 1.5 cups of whole milk, also at room temperature. If it's cold, give it a quick zip in the microwave. With the eggs and milk settle into room temperature, now is a good time to prep the dry ingredients. In a separate bowl, mix together 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Give that a quick whisk to combine. Now we're going to grab our room temperature milk and add our room temperature eggs to it. Crack in each of the eggs. And then whisk vigorously. You'll want to mix this until the mixture is very frothy. Once you see all the airy bubbles on top, it's ready. Add in all of the dry ingredients and whisk again, but only until you see no more dry patches and no lumps. And now it's time to grab the preheated pan out of the oven. It's really hot. Spray that pan with cooking spray, and remember, the pan is hot. Very quickly and with no hesitation, pour the batter directly into each of the cups, up to about 3/4 of the way full, and put that pan right back into the oven immediately. Bake for 20 minutes at that preheated 450 degrees, and then reduce the temperature to 350 degrees and bake another 20 minutes. Do not open the oven door during this baking time at all. And here our first set of popovers is ready. You'll know you've done it right when it has become very tall and it has indeed popped over the pan. I find it quite fascinating that the combination of only these 4 ingredients and air helps to create so much volume. These rolls have a thin, light, crisp exterior, but accompanied by a fluffy, soft interior. They're best enjoyed fresh, pretty much as soon as they've come out of the oven, just allowed to cool enough so that they don't burn your hands. Add some butter or jam to this thing and you got it made. So obviously popovers made in the dedicated popover pan are wonderful. But can you do the same thing with a muffin pan? Well, let's try it out with this same recipe. So making this for the muffin pan, the recipe is exactly the same. You add the room temperature milk, the 3 room temperature eggs, whisk until frothy, add the dry ingredients, whisk again until there's no lumps, grease the preheated muffin pan, and pour the batter into each of the cups until about 3/4 of the way full. Using the same quantity of ingredients, I was able to get 11 in the muffin pan. Follow the same baking temperatures and times as before, except for the 350 degree section. Could probably reduce the cooking time by about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how brown your popovers look. And here we have the popovers from the muffin pan. They did still gain good height while baking, and they did pop over the edges of the cups. However, these had more splits when they were trying to rise and some more cracks on the surfaces as well. And since the cups in the muffin pan are not as deep, it obviously did not get as much height as the ones from the popover pan. The interior was also noticeably less fluffier than the popover pan versions, but they were still airy and soft. The flavor of these was still great, since it had the same ingredients as the first batch, and eating these rolls was not an unenjoyable experience by any means. But I do think the popover pan's benefit with the height of the pan and aiding the fluffiness of the roll is definitely an advantage over using the muffin pan to make these same rolls. So I guess to conclude, I did prefer the popovers that came out of the dedicated popover pan. I still enjoyed the rolls that came out of the muffin pan, so if you don't have a popover pan and want to try out this recipe, definitely give it a go with the muffin pan. They'll still turn out great. I just think that if you have the funds and the space and the desire to make popovers on a regular basis, then it might be worthwhile for you to go ahead and take the leap and get that pan. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something new. Let me know in the comments if you end up trying out this recipe and which pan you used. But until then, thanks again and see you next time.